Best of R / Tales from Tech Support episode 118. Subscribe for edit videos daily. I am a tier 2 IT generalist. I don't usually take phone calls, but for some reason this morning, my phone rang. We just replaced our phone system provider and I thought it was a coworker testing the line, so I picked up. Me equals me. EU equals end user. Me. Good morning IT. How can I help? EU. My computer is blinking, and it will not turn off. Me. Okay, let's try some steps. Have you unplugged it? EU. No, I need it to be charged. Me. Okay, well if it's blinking we may have to power cycle it to fix the laptop. EU. Me. Hello? EU. Yes, ME. Did you unplug it? EU. Ugh, hang on. Me. EU. Okay, it's unplugged but it's still not turning off. Me. Okay. Please hold down the power button until it shuts off. EU. Click phone disconnects. Me. Hello? EU. Calls me back, IT didn't work. I need my laptop fixed now. Me. When I said to hold the power button, what button did you press? EU. The one on the phone like you told me to. Me. No. Press and hold the power button on the laptop. EU. I'll just get disconnected again. Me. No, the laptop. Press the small round button located at the top right of the laptop. EU. Okay, it's off. Me. Okay, now press that button again. EU. Okay, it's turning back on. I have to get back to work now. Click me. Head bang on desk. Lesson learned, I'm not answering the phone unless I know who it is from now. $20 says she never plugged her power cord back in, and I'll get a call in about an hour. Thank you. Next. LTR. FTP. This one goes way back. Like, some of you guys weren't even born yet. So ages ago, I did tech support for a dial-up ISP. This was in the late 90s. I was also kinda known as the helpdesk wizard when it came to modem and its strings. I had run a multi-line dial-up BBS for years on subpar lines, and sometimes needed to limit the maximum speed that my modems could connect at after it rained. Otherwise calls would constantly drop, or the modems would constantly resync. I ran external modems, so I had a visual indication of when they were trying to resync. It was either cut the speed down a bit and get a stable connection, or let it auto-negotiate and keep dropping or resyncing. I already knew the ISP was about to do a round of layoffs. They found bullshit reasons to fire about half of the helpdesk instead of doing layoffs, but I digress. And yes, I wound up being included in that eventually. Enter angry caller. He's immediately on a tirade about how he hasn't been able to keep a stable connection for several months. Nobody has been able to help him. Blah blah blah. This was when 56K modems were popular. I noticed his modem was connecting consistently at lower speeds, but random ones, and the disconnect reasons were always just lost carrier. He's threatening to cancel. I knew I was about to get fired anyway, so I had lost my filter already. I just asked him, so why are you still with us if the other techs haven't been able to fix it? He just stopped dead in his tracks, said, "Bro, nobody has ever talked to me like that before." I told him I was pretty sure I knew what the issue was, and knew how to get it working, if he would give me a chance, and promised to follow up. I told him there was a phone line issue somewhere between him and us, likely his inside wiring, but I could see what speed he'd been connecting at and that it was constantly dropping. I told him if we changed the modem in its string to force the modem to max out at a speed a notch lower than what his modem was usually connecting at, we could probably get a stable connection. I pulled some kind of crazy modem in its string out of my ass and capped him around 32K I think. I walked him through entering it into Windows 95. We hung up. I watched him dial in several times. Every time, the modem connected at the same speed. No disconnects that weren't initiated by him. This was back when PPP was the main way of connecting to your ISP. I called him back an hour later and asked how it was working. He was no longer angry caller. He was ecstatic caller. With the max speed cut down, he was getting much higher speeds overall, and a stable connection. No drops at all. We tried bumping it up to the next speed cap, but it started dropping occasionally, so back down it went. I kept an eye on his account for a few more weeks, The only call he made after that was to get help with his email client, after multiple calls a week for over a month about the connection dropping. I even shot him a few emails to make sure it was still working properly. Yup. Told him if / when he runs a new line from the DMARC to the phone jack, he could do away with that in its string and get better speeds, but I don't think he wanted to spend the money to have a new line run. I last checked his account the day before I got let go. Still no other calls, still connecting reliably. Thank you. Next. I once worked as a programmer for a company that wrote banking software and they wanted me to connect a telephone headset to the software suite for outgoing calls. It was actually pretty fun to write. They gave me a Plantronics headset and told me to plug the phone into a phone jack that was connected to an unused number. One day I'm happily coding away and I hear a strange sound I never heard before. I looked around and found that the headset was ringing. I put it on and hello? The person on the other end had dialed a wrong number. From then on the headset would ring once or twice a day and I'd happily answer it. Good afternoon. Wrong number. People would thank me and hang up. One day I got the call I had been waiting for. Good afternoon. Wrong number. How do you know I dialed the wrong number? This phone is connected to a line where we don't receive incoming calls and don't give the number out. That doesn't matter. You don't know what number I was trying to call, so maybe this is the number I was calling. Okay, what number were you trying to call? He recites the number a few digits off. Sorry, wrong number. Click. Thank you. Next. This one happened earlier today and further dumbfounded me as to how bold some users can be with equipment that is not theirs. I picked up a ticket for a user that was having a problem getting his password to sync between the domain and his laptop. He, like the majority of our user base now, and probably most of the world, has been working from home and he was prompted to change his password recently. He did so yesterday or the day before, but submitted the ticket when his laptop would repeatedly not take the new password he's changed it to. The corporate VPN would accept the new password, but no matter what he did, the laptop was stuck on the old password. At this point, I got the ticket from Tier 1 with full understanding of the situation, so I had to call the user to have him come into the office to try and sync the passwords while being directly connected to the network. I'm still working in the office because I can't exactly work from home and handle hardware issues. Cost of characters is self-explanatory, so I won't bother with descriptions. Script is paraphrased. $me. Good morning, $user. I understand you're having an issue with getting your recently changed password to sync over to your laptop. $user. Yes, let me fill you in on what's happened. Proceeds to tell me everything that's already been outlined in the ticket. $me. Okay, so at this point, you'll have to come into the office and we'll see if that can get your system synced to the domain. $user. Sure, I can be there within the next half hour or so. While I'm there, could you look at another issue I've been having as well? My system's been blue screening a couple times a week and it's a bit frustrating. $me. Yeah, that won't be a problem. $user. Will I need to wait outside in my car while you're looking that over? How long will it take? $me. Well, I'll actually need you here so that you can enter your password on your laptop to sign in, so you'll need to come in the building. As for how long it'll take, that honestly depends on what could be causing it. It could be as simple as updating a driver, or it could end up being as bad as needing to re-image the system. I won't have a better answer until I have a better idea of what's going on. $user. Okay, no problem. So should I take out the second SSD that I have in my system? Do you think that could be causing the blue screens? $me. After a rather lengthy pause, you installed another drive in your system? Is that something we did for you? $user. No, I went out and bought one and put it in myself. The 512 gigabytes in there wasn't big enough since I'm a developer. $me. Another lengthy pause. Still trying to process the addition of another SSD. Well, realistically, it shouldn't cause a blue screen issue, but you're really not supposed to be changing stuff on your system. That sort of thing needs to be approved and performed by us. $user. Oh, okay. I'll take it out and see you in about half an hour. End call. When he arrived on site, I ended up having to do a bit more than just plugging his system into the network and giving it a moment to sync. First, it wouldn't sync because when he tried signing in under his profile, It said the domain trust relationship had been lost. So I signed in with the local admin account, known only to the techs, and tried getting online. That failed because he had set a static IP on it from his home network. Another facepalm, leave it on DHCP people. Once he removed that, I rejoined it to the domain and all was happy. I advised him to leave the second drive out for a few days and see if the system blue screens again. Then I told him if that does fix it and he needs more storage capacity, let us know and we could work something out with him. That maybe we could get him a larger SSD and re-image it appropriately. Otherwise he'd have to use external storage and not go dinking around with his company issued laptop. I know it shouldn't at this point, but it continuously astounds me as to how people think that the laptop we provide to them for work can be used and messed with any way they please. It's bad enough they store gigs and gigs of pictures of little Timmy's birthday party, and the family vacation, and whatever other non-work related nonsense. But to be so bold as to modify the system without letting us know? That's ballsy. TL. Doctor, user calls in reporting a password issue, then proceeds to tell on himself that he installed a second drive on his own in his company issued laptop without authorization. Thank you. Next. Before we implemented the outright blocking of external storage devices, could be its own TFTS story due to even more security team terribleness. We highly discouraged users from using those things at all. We asked users to contact IT when then needed something loaded onto external storage or checked and copied off and onto the network or a user's PC. This happened regularly, as a lot of our clients send and receive data on CDs or flash drives. These tasks have always been the responsibility of our security team. Today my group got a couple of tickets for the same thing. A request to burn files to a CD to send to a client. I immediately got annoyed at the help desk, thinking they misassigned tickets yet again. When I looked at the tickets though, I see that one of the security techs assigned the ticket to my group with the following note. Security tech. Security does not have the ability to do this with no one from security in the office. Really? I took a screenshot of the note and sent it to my manager in a chat message. Me. See above. This makes it desktop support's problem because desktop manager. What's the ticket number? Me. There's two. Number 51534 and number 51726. Desktop manager. It's now been assigned back to them. Being in an office or not does not change the responsibility of a group. Thank you. Next. So I'm basically just going to copy and paste an email here that I got from a manager. I dropped off the tech's broken laptop yesterday and I really need to know if he gave you the correct information about what happened to this computer. I feel as though I need to in case he didn't, as this would be a large issue with me if I had to deal with this and I didn't know. All field technicians are struggling to find bathrooms at this point in time. This field tech, like many others, opened his passenger door to block anyone viewing him, and as he was urinating, his laptop slid off the seat and into the stream. He did stop immediately, but obviously this is the reason it stopped working. To sum it up, he accidentally urinated on his laptop. I told him to put in the report exactly what happened, but I wanted to make sure you knew. Not a laughing matter for that kind of surprise. He is quite embarrassed and feels horrible about it, but I am glad he told me the truth and didn't try and lie. Someone would have found out later on. I apologize for this, and thank you. Thank you. Next. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. I walk back to my cubicle, looking over my shoulder for other ghosts of gigs past. I've realized I'm about to be late for a call, the security logging project, whatever that is. I might learn something. I don't. Or at least I'll learn that stand-up calls at LC are like wandering into a circle of very old friends at a party, telling stories from back in the day. There's an unfamiliar shorthand, but the structure and plots are familiar. People are going around and giving statuses on projects described by acronyms or project numbers. I listen for tone and ignore the particulars. Some projects are dragging and blammer storms are brewing. I'm imagining this call has spawned at least 3 prep meetings for various groups as well as countless chat sessions with rude comments and shitty memes. Then I hear about the mythical audit report. People blurt out a few numbers and I pay more attention. I take notes like I'm some junior agent in the Committee for State Security in 1970s Bulgarian on the numbers station beat. Maybe I'll eventually learn what all this gibberish means, but I may get called on it arbitrarily. There is a fair amount of discussion on an identity store, which has resulted in a bunch of findings, numbered 32 to 40. Some poor bastard on this call is still confused whether or not is will supplement or replace their fairly complex Active Directory infrastructure. Now the yelling starts. At least 2 different voices are arguing that is was supposed to go live several weeks ago, and the pro is faction claiming that even late, it's going to be awesome. The call ends. I look up the is application. Instead of licensing someone else's product, large clients rolling their own. And it's, well, special. Like some hostile looking fruit. The outside is spiky with APIs supporting all the systems that LC needs. The middle is the infrastructure of moving authorizations and requests around. There are transaction engines, logging engines, and a ring of systems to just translate messages between components. The vault in the center holds all the data. Every description of the vault reads like a brochure written in Doge. It's all awkward promises without any technical details. Somehow it describes that all the data is held in private cloud blockchain registers. I search my email for tickets regarding the vault. Lots of backlogs, it seems. Ian's assigned to some of these tickets. I can't see what they're involving, since I don't have access to the ticketing system. After all this, I decide to go home. The next day, I roll in a little before my first call. Per a late night email, I'm to stop by IT to pick up my LC laptop, so I grab coffee and start there. LC's IT Equipment Dispensing Center, TM, is in the basement, which shares space with shipping and receiving. It's all wire cages, bare concrete, and boxes of various sizes. Handwritten signs are a bit confusing, so I have to ask an openly hostile woman at the loading dock. She jabs a begloved hand in the direction of IT. Ever wonder where stained, worn out, and mismatched cubicles go to? At LC, they're here. It's less cube maze and more tricks and traps from Doom 2. Cube walls vary as I walk about to find the right person who has my LC laptop. I find the equipment dispensing center a popular place. There's a plastic chain and a few other people waiting in line. The guy at the front is wearing tan pants with a few extra pockets, a medium t-shirt in olive green with a low contrast American flag, a boonie cap, and wraparound sunglasses. He's talking at a young woman waiting behind him. She's engrossed in her phone and wearing earbuds. Medium. I have to be ready to go at a moment's notice. Engrossed woman. A muffled voice yells from the other side of a mouse-colored cubicle wall. Ian. Medium walks over and after a minute or two of sign-offs, takes a cheap black laptop bag from behind a counter and walks out of the cube wall maze. Well, Ian seems to have made some changes. About 15 minutes later, I've moved to the head of the line and introduce myself to a short woman whose eyes have seen things. I show her a ticketed on my phone. She turns to the desktop in front of her, poke about on the keyboard for a few minutes, then get up, walk over to a library cart filled with identical, cheap laptop bags. She selects one bag, scans the tag on the handle and hands the bag to me. Bag feels light. I open it up and there's a power supply, a shoulder strap, and no laptop. I show the woman behind the desk and she goes from sullen boredom to confusion to annoyance. I share her annoyance, but for different reasons. I've got 2 minutes to find some place quiet to attend a call. Woman, can you wait a little bit while I figure this out? Me, sorry, not really. I'll leave this bag here and you can email me when you have figured out what's going on. Woman, but I checked out the bag. That's yours. Me, you want me to take an empty bag just to make it easier for you? I get a blank stare in response. Fine. I take the bag and find what looks like a quiet corner outside to dial into my first call of the day. The call starts with the usual chatter: who we're waiting for, how everybody's doing. This meeting makes sense to me. We're talking credit card handling. I occasionally lean in and try to make recommendations to make things better. The participants have a debate about holding credit card numbers for recurring purchases without customer involvement. I talk encryption. A hyperkinetic person named Arash is violently agreeing with me about the need to encrypt everything and that we can leverage his identity store capabilities. I make the mistake of opening my mouth. Me, Handling credit card processing expands the scope and expense of PCI compliance. You've just made the cardholder data environment CDE, your entire company, Arash, but it's all encrypted in the blockchain. Me, I want to explain in detail how bad this idea is, but I know to not go into technical details until I understand them, especially not on a project management call. I collapse my comments to a terse. There are several reasons why that's a bad idea, but that's better detailed on a smaller call. I let the call move into other directions and stop paying attention until I hear my name again. Howard, the product owner, Lord Techie will work with Arash and his team to work out a solution. Me, Arash, that's great. I'll have you work with the lead engineer, Ian. I look at myself, standing in the grass in front of LC's office building, holding an empty laptop bag. I see my bike. I should just go, get my helmet and ride away. I don't. To be continued.